Hey, we're hard at work researching the deeper origins and etymology and shiny colors and basically everything about all of the new Pokemon. And that obviously takes a lot of time. So, in the meantime, here's a much simpler video. What are my personal thoughts and opinions on each of the new Pokemon? Plenty of people have been asking me, so here are my hot takes. But please remember, opinions can be very fun because everybody has different ones, and that's not only okay, it's encouraged. So let's start with the starters. Sprigatito is the starter I chose, if that helps explain it. I love cats, and I love the grass type, so this is a no-brainer. It's a grass type cat. And I love the little fleur-de-lis details in its design, and the paws! Floragato may be one of my new favorite starter Pokemon Middle Evos. Right up there with Duat and Quilava. It's just so cool! The use of a yo-yo weapon is something we haven't seen in Pokemon yet, and I love its edgy yet suave personality. It's like a Spanish robe. Now, Meowscarada, I'm not as into. I do still like it, but I'm not, like, in love. I still need to do research on it, but surface level, it doesn't feel like it needs to be grass type at all. Like, the only plant is this floating thing, and I've never really been into the whole magician jester aesthetic. Now, Fuecoco. So, despite my immense love of the grass type and of cats, I almost chose Fuecoco over Sprigatito. It is just so cute. It's a little pepper-shaped baby crocodile. What's not to love? Look at those eyes. There are absolutely no thoughts in that skull besides, "Oh, I must bite!" It's just such a cutie. And then it evolves. Yeah, it's time for Crocalor slander. It's just... I don't like it. The haunch, the hat that's also a nest, like, that's clever. I like the idea of that, but that doesn't mean I think it looks good. It just feels like it's Fuecoco that they gave a hat and made uglier on purpose. But Skeledirge, I'm not a huge fan of that name. It feels a little forced. But also, I'm not a huge fan of its hair fire. The way it animates, the way it undulates, it just makes it seem like clown hair. I don't know, it just doesn't look like fire. Actually, the first time I saw this, I viscerally hated it in my core. Like, I actually thought it was terrible to the extreme. Like, this is the new worst starter Pokemon. But of course, I have to use every Pokemon at least a little bit to, you know, get a bigger understanding of it, and as I was using it, it did start to grow on me. So it's not terrible, but it's definitely, like, below mid-tier for starter Pokemon Final Evolutions. But the flaming bird on the end is super cute. And it is also super cool to have a quadrupedal fire starter for the first time. It only took them, like, billion of years. Quaxly! I mean, what's not to love? It's a cute cartoon pompadour duckling. I love the personality and the sass. Quaxwell, though, I'm not as big of a fan. I don't hate it, and I love how blorby the head feathers are. Pokemon finally has JRPG boob physics, and it's on the head of a duck. And I do get why its feathers resemble, like, a swimming top and water shoes, but I don't like it. It's the same problem I had with Cinderace and Raboot. It's just a bit too clothesy for my personal taste. But then its evolution, Quaquaval, also has, like, clothy design, and it's perfectly fine here. I guess it's just the execution of it. Like, I'm also perfectly fine with, like, the geese on Sock and Throw, but I stinking hate Cinderace's shorts and Quaxwell's top. Like, I don't know. But anyway, gotta be honest, I freaking love this bird. Blaziken's bottom. He's such a fruit, and I mean that in the most loving and endearing way. There's just so much charm and personality. A carnival dancer is so perfect for such a flamboyant bird, just because of how ridiculous male Amazonian birds can get in the mating season. And he's so speedy. Its ability, or no, its signature move, it's so good. Lechonk! Lechonk is actually adorable. It is just a simple pig, and that's all it needs to be. It's a Route 1 normal type after all, and one of the better ones. And then its evolution, this pig, Oinkologne. Oh, I want to do things to this pig, like cook it and eat it. It's just a pig with a personality. The female one makes me think of The Secret Life of Pets, which I've only ever seen the trailers for, but I don't know if that's a good thing to compare it to. But personally, I've never really been a fan of the Pokemon or Fakemon that are just sort of, it's an animal, but it has an accessory on its tail. and it can be executed well, but it can also be executed kind of plainly. Tarountula is adorable, and I wish it evolved a bit later so that I could have used it for longer. It's a little old man yarn ball. There's so much charm here, but I do feel like something is missing. Seems just a tad on the plain side. And then Spidops. It's also just sort of missing something. Like, it's one change away from being significantly better. I just don't like its butt, honestly. The rest of it's perfectly fine. I assume when they were drawing out all the concept art, they probably had some variations of this design that had different butts, and some of those were probably a lot better. And as a side note, I can't quite tell what its arms are supposed to be. Now, Nymble. Nymble is really cute. I love the texturing of the eyes and their shape too. It's a really solid bug design. And Loki, or Lokix. I assume I'd like it a lot more if I was more into Kamen Rider, Power Ranger, Ninja stuff. It's a clever combination of all of those and a Locust, and I love that. But I'm not super keen on the, circle, cross, no symbols on these knees, though. I don't quite get it. Is it supposed to be an inorganic Pokemon? It feels like one, but then it also isn't. I just don't know. Well, R'hllor, it's about time we got a dung beetle. And as expected, rather than it rolling around actual fecal matter, it's just dirt. Though while I love the idea, I don't love the design. The face is just ugly, which, of course, is probably on purpose. There are plenty of purposefully ugly mons. I just inherently don't like this one, but at least it evolves. Rabska looks a lot cooler, and I love the lore involved, it gaining psychic powers, it carrying its real body inside the ball, and I love its colors too, and how shiny it is, and I love how the face works as a face whether you're looking at it upside down or not. Greavard ultimately is just a dog with a candle on its head, and I'm not a super huge fan of that kind of, creativity, but at least it's cute, and at least it's not Houndstone. I love the idea of a skeletal dog, but it's just a skeletal dog with a headstone as a hat. In a game where the main gimmick is giving Pokemon silly hats already. Flittle grew a lot on me, actually. It's a little baby ostrich egg UFO. I love the sounds it makes and the way it moves, and the idea of an ostrich that can fly, not because of its wings, but because of its psychic powers, is hilariously amazing to me. Flittle is very cute. But a Spathra's alright. I'm not super into the whole color palette, or the haircut, or the fabric wings, or the eyes, and alright, I just don't like this Pokemon. And that's okay. Not all Pokemon have to be for me. Oh, I love how big Dondozo is. Big bowl mouth catfish with your classic sushi vendor headband and a blobfish nose. It's all so perfect because of the symbiotic relationship with the Tatsugiri, the sushi dragon Pokemon, which can live inside of Dondozo's mouth. I'm not usually a fan of fish Pokemon, but I guess the size and the face of this one makes me quite like it. Tatsugiri, then, is super cute. I love its variety of colors, the magenta one especially. I love how they hop around on the land, and that the lake, there's just so many of them around the lake, and they're so cute and fun to just watch. Oh, their eyes, I love the eyes, and their size, I love the size! Veluza, then, is like a self-sashimiing fish, which is really cool in concept. And in execution here, it looks so sharp and fast. But then it's not. For some reason, it's a bit of a letdown. Like Finizen. Well, I guess Finizen is cute. I mean, what else are you gonna do with a dolphin? It's cute, and it's fun, and it has a stupid evolution method, but your reward for evolving it through the stupid evolution method is a Palafin. It's the same, but it gets a heart on its chest, though now it can change form into a superhero dolphin? Ew, it looks like a bad My Hero Academia OC, which is saying something because a lot of the actual characters from that show look that way. I mean, I think it's mainly the eyes. I just don't like the eyes. Or the pauldrons that are like waves. I also don't like the anything about it. It's a deformed Pepsi Man. It is really fun to use, though. I used it quite a bit. It's a fun time. I just wished it looked different. Smoliv! Smoliv! Boh! The new Bound Suite, only much, much cuter. I love this little scaredy guy. So nervous. So small. Oh, how do they even get that small? Oh, one thing I do hate, though, is its cry. Like, its cry actually makes me nauseated to listen to. I hated the gym challenge in the Olive Orchard. And Dolliv! Oh, Dolliv is really cute. There's always got to be a feminine Plantmon, and I do love this one. But again, the cry, while not as bad at least, it's just... ugh. I love the eyes, and the personality, and the way the olives move to shoot out attacks. It's very fun. And I still cannot say Arboliva. I add an O. Why do I add an O? I read it as that once, and it just stuck with me. It's Arboliva. Arboliva. Or is it Arboliva? Either way, though, there's no second O. Jeez, I couldn't even say it right in the Names Explained video. Well, I guess that's just because it's a letdown, honestly. I get what it's doing, extending an olive branch. It's an olive wreath and a small olive tree. Yeah, consider it understood. It just lost something, I feel. It's not as cute or even as cool anymore, in my opinion. It's just kind of there. But at least it's not Capsicid. Dumb little rugrat pepper. I do like the use of the leaves as the arms, and also the bib, and then the pepper flower being like a baby bonnet. There's definitely some cleverness there, but did they have to be so small you cannot possibly see them until you bump into them? Did they have to look like this? And then it evolves into Scovillain, and it's ugly. Likely purposefully ugly again. There are Pokemon that are ugly on purpose. But I don't know. It feels very much like a middle stage Pokemon to me, rather than a final stage. I definitely think they are going to be adding a final evolution for it later on. Maybe even in the next gen. Maybe they're saving it for whenever they do a gen based on like Texas or Mexico or South America somewhere. You know, because that's where peppers come from. Spain really liked them when they were getting involved in the area and they brought them back. Maybe since this Pokemon's now far away from its homeland, it can only evolve up into this stage, but back in its home region, it can evolve one more time. I don't know. This isn't supposed to be a theory video. But yeah, I don't know about it. It doesn't feel like it has much personality. Like, it's a pepper outlaw drama mask thing with 2 heads. It should be full of personality, different personalities, but oh well. Tadbulb. Yeah, it's cute, but not really much else to say, other than, like, why are there so many tiny little guys in this gen? Now, Bellyboat, I really like. So blorby. I love the way it walks. False eyes are a nice touch, too. Though, I think there's something off about the way they did the dynamo in its gut. Maybe it's just that it's not fully round, or maybe the lightning doesn't quite sell what it is. There's something missing with it. Varoom!
Delivery, mister!
Well, they really went and did it. A car Pokemon, or at least a car engine for now. I do love the single-cell Pokemon categorization. It's like a single-celled organism, but it's a single cylinder because cylinders are how you measure car engines. Yeah, it's clever. But I do think there's a better way to do an engine Pokemon than whatever this is, with the, like, rubber hose animation mouth. Like, look at its Evo, Revavroom now. Rather than giving these engine Pokemon car-shaped bodies made out of rocks, why not make them like, I don't know, a cool fantasy squid or something? The tentacles all ending with exhaust pipes, and they use their other tentacles to grab onto rocks and build itself a car-like body, like how some octopus will hold on to coconut shells and other shells and rocks and stuff to like build a protective thing for it. You know, have it grab an axle and build itself a little car like that, and then it looks like the engine sticking out. It could still be the exact same type because it's like grabbing steel garbage from the very polluted oceans. I don't know, but either way, I probably shouldn't be judging it based on what it isn't. I really feel like it could have literally been fleshed out more than what we got. But as they are, they're adequate. Earthworm. This dude's a dope, and I love it. Subway earthworm with little parapodiums that stick out of its first body segment. Really cute. Tandemaus. Actually, one of our first Gen 9 videos about a single Pokemon line is going to be about Tandemaus. It's almost finished. I love these guys. A couple of mice Pokemon working in tandem, just like Phalanx or Dugtrio, you know? Then they evolve into Maushold in secret, because mice breed like mad. You blink and there's more of them. But still, Maushold, it's just Tandemaus, but they have kids now. It's super cute. I love their scream. I love the pants. And I love how much personality is tucked into these teeny tiny little bodies. Citoddle. Can't say I'm a fan. I don't hate them. I'm just not really into them. When I first saw them, I immediately just saw baby Cititan. And there's nothing wrong with just being a Prevo, but usually there's at least some other differentiating design elements or factor, I say, as we just came from Maushold. Well, still not a big fan. And Cititan is cool, but again, I'm just not really into whales, I suppose. even Nido monstrous whales with legs, though I do really like that. It's pretty cool to get another monstrous design like this. But then we go to a literal monster with Frigibax, and oh man, what a letdown of a pseudo-legendary. It looks like a frozen Trico corpse that got stung by a bee. And why has it got an ice mole? Arctobax is at least really cool. I love its body plan with that color and that shape. It's a really, really neat middle Evo that unfortunately evolves again. I really do not like Baxcalibur. I mean, looking back, I'm not super big on pseudo-legendaries in general. Up until Dragapult, I never used a pseudo-legendary on my main team, nor have I ever been a big fan of any. But this time, especially, it just feels too much like it's just Godzilla, but it's ice type. You know? And the one massive Godzilla backplate instead of many just looks silly. And I don't care for its face either, or the lack of definition on the top of its tail. It's on the bottom instead. It just looks like a dope. Or heck, I would even go as far as to say that someone's second grade kid drew a Fakemon, and one of the designers made it a real thing. And that's this guy. Cyclizar. Honestly, really clever design, using the lizards with puffed up chest flags to have it resemble a front wheel, and a curled up tail to resemble the back wheel, because it's supposed to look like a little bicycle, you know? And its head crest even resembles a bicycle racing helmet and a small bike windshield at the same time. It's a very well-designed Pokemon, even if it's one I will never use. Pawmi is really stinking cute. I love this little Pikachu clone, and I'm super happy to have a Pikachu clone that evolves. I don't think we've ever had one, actually, other than Pikachu. And it evolves into Pawmo. I said, and it evolves into Pawmo. It evolves... Oh, that is Pawmo. What? A finger? You gained a finger and some height? I guess the hair is a slightly different style and it's lighter in color, but come on! This is like the Poliwhirl line all over again. It just gets bigger, except literally. That's a thing that people say to make fun of other Pokemon, like, oh, it just gets bigger. But it's that, literally. Oh, and then it's Pawmot. And at least Pawmot is a lot taller. And it has a much different hairstyle, but still, it's cute. But I seriously think Pawmo could just be cut from the game, and this line as a whole would benefit from it. Just make it a Pokemon that only evolves once. Pawmo is so unnecessary, but at least all three are still cute. Well, maybe not Pawmot. I'm not a huge fan of its new size or hair, honestly. It's like getting into me territory. Cringe, bruh. Wattrel! I mean, it's your basic bird. There's gotta be a basic bird, and this one stares into your soul. And I like it. Kilowattrel, though, not a huge fan of the name, but at least the bird is neat. I like how it fills its neck sack with power. It's a very solid design, though nothing to write home about. Bombardier. Did this need to happen? It's just a stork. Like it's the baby delivering stork, except it drops boulders instead. Like, I'm not really one to complain about a Pokemon just being a thing. I mean, I've got this huge video about Toucanon. Toucanon's super cool, even if it is just a toucan. But I don't know. Honest opinion, I just don't really see the appeal with this bird. I really don't see why it needed to exist. I really don't see why it's in this region. I don't really see it. Where do you catch it? Please help. And Squawkabilly is on some thin ice too. I do appreciate its variety of colors, and the hair is super fun. It's just that these feathers by its legs, resembling a trench coat or a big jacket, yeah, because of the way they're angled, it just looks like it would hinder it greatly. I mean, Pokemon is pretty far from realism. Like, if bird Pokemon were realistic, most of their wings would need to be like triple the size. But these feathers here just don't sit right with me. But at least Flamigo is fun. Yes, at its core it is just a flamingo, but that's part of why I like it. It's just so pink! And it's fighting type. That's fun. It wraps its neck around itself to store extra power in its body. And it's got the big lower beak, both because flamingos have silly beaks, but also maybe because like the swollen, bruised lips of boxers. Do you think its body resembles a cartoony boxing glove? Like, is that a thing? Is it like a balloon animal? Klawf! Another fun dope. At first, I really liked Klawf since the reveal, but then I heard its cry in-game. Oh god, god, it legitimately spooked me the first time. I had no idea what it was. For whatever reason, it's also significantly louder than everything else in the game. So fighting them, interacting with them, sending one out, always irritating, like room-shakingly loud noise. Why is it so much louder than everything else? That and the move Infestation. Was that a bug? Or did you experience that too? Was Infestation, like, significantly louder than everything else in the game? Infestation and Clough's Cry? Either way, I hated it. Why is it blushing anyway? Nacli is really cute and has a fun naming convention, but it is just a Mario power-up. Knucklestack, well, I guess they made the Minecraft pig into a Pokemon. So, I actually did not like this Pokemon whatsoever when I first saw it. Like, I actually winced. But I still used it on my team because I wanted to evolve it, and it really started to grow on me. And honestly, I quite like it now. In fact, I'd be interested in seeing more Pokemon made from blocks like this. Maybe blocks of ice, or blocks of sod. That'd be fun. And Garganacl is also way cooler and more fun than I anticipated it being. Salt Cure is just such a fun move, and I love the way it walks and moves and attacks and sounds. And really just everything about it is surprisingly really neato mosquito. And I think it's the first pure rock type I've ever regularly used. Glimmet! I get it. But that doesn't mean I have to like it. I do like its face, the way the eyes and the headwork are fun, but everything else is just kind of a big meh. At least it does become cool when it evolves into Glimora, a poisonous crystal flower that resembles sea life polyp stuff. Heck yeah, look at that. It's so cool and mysterious. And the way they stick their heads in the rock walls of caves so they look like a flower in the middle of a cave. Super neat. And Shroodle. Shroodle took me by surprise. It's cute. Its hair resembles the end of a paintbrush, but I still can't help but feel like something is missing with it too. Can't seem to pinpoint it, but it is a solid B-tier design, IMO. Cute, but not amazing. And Grafaiai. Grafaiai was a bit of a letdown for me. When it was first revealed, I loved it. It looks hecka cool, and I love its personality and everything about it, and it is going on my team. And then as I used it, I just found myself bored with it. I do find that the design is really well executed with the painter's mask and the goggles, the spray paintbrush lemur stuff going on, and it's really cool and well thought out. It didn't click with me, so I dropped it. Fidough! Easily the cutest bread-based Pokemon. I'm typically not big on dogs or dog Pokemon, but this one is particularly adorable. I love the pouty face and the bounce of the walk. And I cannot wait to see what anime shenanigans it gets into. And Dachsbun. Not a big fan of the name, honestly. I like what the name does, but not how it sounds. But at least the design of the dog itself is good. Love that the toes are just slits cut into the bread instead of being actual toes. It's a very solid Evo. Mastiff. It's definitely another ugly on purpose Pokemon. An ugly school bully or young, inexperienced gang member, but also an ugly dog. There is absolutely nothing about this pupper that makes me want to protect it. Quite the opposite, really. And then when it evolves into Mabostiff, it just grows old? And what's with that name? Mabostiff. Again, I get it. I understand the meaning. I just don't like how it sounds. It sounds forced. Mabostiff. Looks-wise, it is an improvement over Mastiff, but I'm still not a huge fan. And Bramblin and Bramblegast. Why did this Pokemon need to evolve? What does it gain? Well, I guess the thorns. But I get it. Wandering spirits, tumbleweeds wander. It's a tumbleweed that grabbed hold of a wandering spirit. Yeah, it's a really good idea. I just don't know why it needed to evolve this way and just evolve into the same thing, but spookier? I don't know. Gimmighoul is cute though, but not a Pokemon I would ever use. It feels too much like yeah, let me just send out a literal chest with a bug in it to fight. And I don't really dig that. As a gimmick though, how you find little wandering Gimmighoul all over and you take their coins, that was super fun. And I hope future Pokemon games continue the idea with similar Pokemon. And Goldango, I sorta hated at first, but it's grown on me. Not by much, though. At best, it's a mid-tier Pokemon for me. A pile of cursed gold taking the form of a ghoul has a lot of directions you could take the design, and they went with, this thing. Uh-oh, it's Tinkatink. Watch out. Oh, I love how pink it is. But it is just a bit too baby for my own tastes. Though, it also gives me young Goron vibes, which is quite fitting. On its own, it's not a great Pokemon IMO, but as a part of its line, I adore it. It evolves into Tinkaton, which is just the same thing, but older, bigger hammer, bigger hair, bigger body, but at least it doesn't look annoying anymore. It's developing a real personality. And then Tinkaton. I liked it when I first saw it. I really, really did. But then I used one on my team, and now I absolutely love it to smithereens! Like, I seriously just have a thing for pink gremlins, I guess. I loved Impidimp to bits too. The hair, the pink, the hands, the pink, the eyes, the pink, the personality, the pink, the memeableness, the pink! I like everything about this Pokemon. This Pokemon is the dream. This is my dream aesthetic. It is definitely one of, if not my ultimate favorite Pokemon from this gen. But there is one thing about it I don't like. One little critique. I just wish she held her hammer the other way around, left-handed instead of right-handed, because as it is, when battling, the hammer is in the way of being able to see the other Pokemon. It's just kind of a nuisance. Charcadet is a fun little guy. I feel like it's been a while since we had this genre of Pokemon, like since Gallade or so maybe. It's just a little flaming Fire Knight. Very cool and fun looking. And then Armarouge. I do like it. Very Mega Man-esque. The armor looks good, the pauldron's becoming an urn-shaped arm cannon is really clever. It looks neat, and it's different from most other Pokemon, but personally, it's not quite my thing. So I never used it. Same with Charcadet's other Evo, Ceruledge. As soon as I got it, I boxed it and never thought about it again. I do prefer it over Armarouge, maybe just because I just like purples and ghost flames and all that, but it's just a bit too Mega Man-y for my personal Pokemon preferences. I'm super glad so many people like them though, and I do love the variety that they add to the decks. Paldean Tauros, your classic Black Iberian Bull. Honestly, these three forms of Tauros are way cooler than your default Tauros, and I think it's funny how they constantly try to ram you while you're busy battling some other Pokemon. Paldean Wooper! I mean, it's Wooper again, so 10 out of 10 right there, but they made it even better because now it's got a little ribcage pattern and skull and crossbones because it's poison type. 11 out of 10 now. And Clodsire. Well, you know, it's Clodsire. It's a dirty Quagsire, but laying down. Honestly, it's a lot cuter this way, if you ask me. A lot more detailed than Quagsire as well, and a lot stubbier, which makes it better in my book. And okay, let's see if I can remember or even say this Pokemon's name right. Farigiraf? Farigiraf? Faragirif? I think it's the first one. Well, it's a lot better than the Girafarig it evolves from. Haha, it's a giraffe proper now! And one with a bit of a spaceman motif. We have a whole video delving into its origins already, and I love them. It is so fitting of this generation. I did use one on my main team for a while, but I wound up dropping it because I almost never got to see its head. I was just looking at a giraffe's butt the whole time. King Gambit. Sigh. Okay. Well, the design is very neat. Chafe nipples and a hair seat. I do not like the way it walks, but I am okay with how it talks. Its bowing blade attack is neat, but god oh god, its name is Sheet. As in I want to cover it with a bed sheet. It's so bad. One of the new worst names in Pokemon if you ask me. At least the evolution method was fun. Just like Annihilape's, who, by the way, is also up there for one of my new favorite Pokemon of this entire generation. The dead eyes, the floaty wavy hair, the type, the whole line, the bulging arm vein. This Pokemon is also my dream aesthetic. I have very conflicting dream aesthetics. But yeah, I stinking love this one. The Dunsparce. Okay, so the hottest of takes. I get why a lot of people are mad at this new Dunsparce evolution. There's been people wanting some really cool, sick dragon evolution for Dunsparce since, like, before Dunsparce existed. But that's literally the opposite of what Dunsparce is all about. Any sort of cool, draconic evolution would completely ruin it. Honestly, I still think we would be better off currently without this new evolution at all, but at least its evolution here, the Dunsparce, is a dud. It's got that same Dunsparce charm. It's still a dunce. It's just Dunsparce, but again. And I do like that. Honestly, I've always thought that Diglett, while cute, is too simple of a Pokemon for my personal taste, and Wiglet doesn't change that. Also, I did use one on my team for a while, and it was The absolute worst Pokemon I used in my entire playthrough. Like, dude! Wiglet! You are 15 levels above that thing that just one-shot you with a not very effective move! What is wrong? Wugtrio, though. I mean, it's clever that its body forms a W, but it's still just a Dugtrio, but worse. And I never liked Dugtrio to begin with. But I do really like this convergent evolution idea, but I feel like it works a lot better with Toadstool. It's like a Tentacool, but instead of tentacles, it has toes, and instead of a jellyfish, it's a mushroom, a toadstool. It's so good, and I absolutely love its animations, how it runs around all floppy, and it attacks, and it's all floppy. The animations are so good. It's so wiggly. It's a super fun comedic relief character that I hope plays a big part in the anime. Toadcruel, though, I do still like it for all the same reasons, just not as much. I just wish the mouth was, I don't know, not that. Now, Paradox Pokemon. I do get the naming scheme. They are supposed to sound like scientific species names, I guess, but I don't know. I thought the names would grow on me, but they haven't. Doesn't mean I don't like them on themselves, though. Quite the opposite. Great Tusk took Donphan and made it really cool looking. I am a sucker for spiky teeth like this, and hot pink. And they really went all out and made it truly look like a prehistoric pygmy elephant. Iron Treads, on the other hand, though. Look at that dopey face. I do really like how the mouth opens up, but I don't really like how the rest of it is. It is creative, though. That's for sure. Points for that. It's totally the opposite of Iron Jugules? Yeah, it's just literally a robotic Hydreigon. Like, same proportions, same body plan, same everything. It's just a robot. I much prefer Screamtail. In fact, I actually love Screamtail. The eyeliner, the teeths, the feets, the messy hair, my little punky Screamo Jigglypuff. And it's another one of those Mon that I thought I didn't like at first, but then I got one and loved it. Same deal with Slitherwing. At first, I was looking at it thinking, like, why? Why is it like that? But then I saw it in action and whoa, I dig it. I love cute moths, I love the way it stands, I love its animations, it's all so good. And I love its future counterpart too, even if its name is just Iron Moth. Egad. I do like how the sort of solar panel wings form an actual sun look kind of thing. That was a sentence. But yeah, it's pretty cool looking. Not as cool as Iron Thorns though. I mean neon laser spike-backed Robo-Tyranitar? Can you get much cooler with Mecha Pokemon? I don't think so. Love the colors here too. The tail, the face, the fingies. Gosh, I wanted one so bad. But instead I got Sandy Shocks. Oh boy, what a silly Pokemon. The way it walks is ridiculous. When I finally saw it on the overworld myself, I actually laughed. It is such a silly dude. And so is Brute Bonnet. It's just a silly carnivorous mushroom with a hat and 4 legs now. Just a fun, silly dude. Heck, here's another fun, silly dude. It's Iron Bundle. It's just a silly little robot Delibird. Its tail looks like a vacuum, but it shoots ice and water. And Iron Hands? Well, that's just a glowing Hariyama. Well, the more I think about it, the more I'm glad I went with Pokemon Scarlet. I'm just gonna say it. Iron Thorns is the only good Paradox Pokemon from Violet, in my personal opinion. It's the only one that I truly like. Like, there's nothing wrong with Iron Hands, and Iron Bundle is still a fun and silly dude, but I'm just not drawn to them. I really wish there was something more than just the idea of a future Pokemon, and then it's the Pokemon, but it's a robot now, you know? There's so much, like, speculative evolution stuff out there. Like, this is what we think these animals are gonna look like in a million years, and they look totally alien. They could have done that. Maybe it's like a post-apocalyptic Pokemon. Like, just one. You don't need all of them to look that way, but that at least gives some variety. Right now, they're all just robots. But at least Iron Valiant itself is pretty cool. It completely changes the weapon that Gallade uses, and it mixes Gallade and Gardevoir together on top of being robotic. I like that. It's really cool. It's not just a robot Delibird. But then Roaring Moon, oh man, it's Mega Salamence, but with prehistoric dinosaur feathers. And there's some deep ancient mythology involved in its design origins, and it's like a sick, cool thing instead of just a robot, which is also my deal with Miraidon. It too is just a robot for me. And actually, while I was playing Scarlet, my wife was playing Violet right next to me, and we watched the cutscenes with Koraidon and Miraidon together, one after the other, to see any differences. And Koraidon just has so much more personality just because it has a tongue. Miraidon has no tongue because it's a robot. It can't lick its lips or lick its face or play with its food in the same way. Like, it's still cute, it's still fun, it still makes all the same faces, they're just not as expressive because it doesn't have a tongue. Plus, though, I do really, really like the feathers on Koraidon. It looks just awesome. Awesome feathers. Awesome like Wolshin, Shenpao, Tinglu, and Chi-Yu. My gosh. And the music that plays when battling them is some of the best battle music in Pokemon history, in my opinion. I love these legendary Pokemon. Though, some more than others. I do really, really like Shenpao, but as a bit of a means of criticizing it, the concept is really, really cool, but it itself feels a little bit plain for a legendary Pokemon. Even amongst this group, it feels kind of blank, which might just be a side effect of it being snow. But also, I'm just not a huge fan of how the swords penetrate through the top of its muzzle. Like, I get that it's trying to say the sword was, like, stabbed through it twice or something, but, it just doesn't look great. And I feel the same with Tinglu. It's just kind of a stony elk with a bowl on its head. I appreciate being able to see the different layers of rock and dirt along its body, but it just doesn't vibe right with me. You know? Still really cool though, but not as cool as Wolshin. I stinking love this snaily bush, the leaf beard, the being a scribe, and the swirl of bamboo tablets because it predates paper, the eyes, the tentacles. I realize now that a lot of these brief Pokemon reviews, I'm just like listing what they have. Like, oh, the feet, the eyes, the body, the lungs that let it breathe. But like, I don't know, that's just because they're really good. I like them. And then Chi-Yu. My gosh, Chi-Yu is my new favorite legendary Pokemon. It has been quite some time since I have used a legendary Pokemon on my main team. I love its bright body. And, like, I love how they made me love a fish. I can't think of any other fish Pokemon that I've loved before. I love its little movements and its glowing eyes and the jade glasses things. Oh, it's so good. And now that I've given my hot takes on all of the new Pokemon, who is my main team? And who are my favorites and least favorites? Well, my incredibly unbalanced main team wound up being Tinkaton, Annihilape, Chi-Yu, Meowscarada, Garganacl, and I frequently swapped around Palafin, Screamtail, and Skeledirge. Oh my gosh, and side note, the final fight against Koraidon is hilarious with a Skeledirge because there's literally nothing it can do against Skeledirge. Very well thought out, Game Freak. As for my least favorites, well, King Gambit is definitely the worst name, but the Mon itself is fine. Pawmo feels completely needless, but there are only a few Pokemon designs that I actively do not like. Frigibax, Baxcalibur, and Hero Form Palafin. But what are your thoughts? Maybe you love the ones I hate, and that's totally fine. That's the magic of the sheer variety of Pokemon. What is your favorite and least favorite Pokemon? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and never stop using your noggin.